the very first thing I'm starting to do as a podcast professional is basically look down and make sure I see those little lines moving. Give me a mic check.
Check one.
Check one. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't like to do big intros, but this is kind of a cool moment. I'm with the guy, Ben Silverman. Now, this is a big deal for me because it's a big deal for a lot of people. AI is all over the place. It's not going anywhere. It's on our phones. It's on our TV. It's taking people's jobs. It's giving people's jobs. It's teaching us new things. It's making us not have to depend on old knowledge. But the kind of like overall thing and the overall moment, especially for me as a director and a somewhat of an editor and an actor, are people are fearful, right? They're fearful of AI. You seem to know a lot about it. You and I have talked. I've already benefited from just our conversations, just my understanding, a little bit of understanding of what's actually going on and what we should and shouldn't be afraid of, and that we can't stop the train, right? Somebody started the lawnmower, they let it go. It's going to mow grass forever, big grass, short grass, tall grass. Where do we fit in? How do we coincide? How do we incorporate AI? How do we not alienate the entire creative world from AI because we can't prevent it? So tell the people what you know, a little bit about what you do, and I'm going to just stop you every second and go on a tangent about something I'm interested in within the world of AI. But just let people know a little bit about who you are and why you know so much.
Wow. All right. Yeah. I'm Ben Silverman. I actually started in entertainment. My focus has always been entertainment. I actually came out to California to be a film director and a producer, and ended up kind of diving down 100 different rabbit holes, including technology. But it wasn't until the last couple of years that I actually got into technology. I started as at an agency, helping writers and directors in television packaging. Ended up working for a filmmaker, as their creative executive, and after that, I ended up working a lot in advertising and commercials for that same director, which ended up pushing me into more of a commercial brand facing perspective. And then with one of my friends, I ended up starting a commercial company that focused on motion graphics and VFX. Which kind of led me down the technical rabbit hole for a second, where I was learning how to, because I don't believe in just, as a producer, as a director, just having a vision and saying, hey, do this.
Yes.
I think it's more important to actually, and again, this is going to everything we're going to talk about today.
Right.
I think it's important to know what it is you're asking for and how to do it, right? And being able to actually hop on and do it yourself, or at least have a working knowledge of the thing you're asking somebody else to do.
Yes.
So that kind of led me down some of these computer programs, and I ended up moving on into the NFT and metaverse world. This is kind of
which is another very confusing world for a lot of people.
That I would kind of leave back there, even though it's all language, right?
Because it certainly is some sort of language.
But it's language. It's if you talk about NFT, most people don't even know that it's just a receipt for a digital good. And in the end of the day, a blockchain is just a place, a storage that's going to keep things secure, right? So
just you putting it into that terminology makes it far simpler to understand.
For filmmakers, if you think of what a RAID is,
right,
which is a drive that has different drives, so you can't just steal something off of the drive because they have the information that's dispersed over in different places. The idea of a blockchain is the fact that there's different partitions, if we're talking in an editing or computing world.
Sure.
And all of the, a file isn't just on one partition. It's dispersed over a number.
Got it.
And then basically an NFT is a receipt that you own that thing that's dispersed. And people, their JPEGs, yes, their videos, yes. They're saying, I am a member of this club, but ultimately it is your ticket. It's your receipt. And AI, the reason why that's just language, it's kind of just look, you rent a video off of Apple, you download something. If you own it, do you own it? You don't actually own it.
Right.
It's just you have the ticket that says you can use it.
God, I hate that, and I love it, and I know it's unavoidable is the thing. It's like exactly what you just said. It makes so much sense because you're going, like they're not printing DVDs and CDs. Like you're literally downloading your this digital movie, and how do you know if you own it, right? Like, so we get hit with a electromagnetic pulse and it shuts down all the hard drives of the PlayStations and however else you back up your movie, Apple TV or whatnot. And how do we know anything without a receipt, right? And so essentially NFT is, I mean, that's just a better understanding than I've ever had of NFT because the whole time I'm looking at NFTs, which I'm into, right? Yeah, I'm into the idea that it's digital art. I follow this guy Beeple. You know, there's some interesting stuff going on in the world, and then people are making millions and hundreds of millions and tens of millions of dollars selling digital art receipts, essentially.
So now we have AI, right? But now think of, and then we have AR, MR.
Wait, what's NR?
So there's AR, augmented reality.
Sure.
VR is virtual reality.
Got it.
MR is mixed reality.
Oh my God.
Right? So if you think about like the Apple Vision Pro.
Yes.
Right? And then you have Meta's AR glasses.
Yes.
And you think in 2027, which it's kind of rumored that the glasses from Apple will be glasses.
Right.
Right? So the idea of like when you look through glasses and you're seeing something that is a digital representation of something in the world.
Yeah.
How is that different than what people today are calling NFTs?
Right.
It's a digital thing that's there, and how does that exist? Because now, and then again, and this is just diving right in.
Yeah.
But like utilizing things like Midjourney, which creates imagery, utilizing these avatar creation systems, using all of these tools that are out today in these really base layers. These are the tools that are going to be able to create an avatar in a clothing shop that tries to sell you something in the way that you need to be sold because it knows who you are because of your physical imprint. Right? It's going to be able to have these interactions with you. I mean, you know, Midjourney, again, this is a deeper dive, but like Midjourney wants to, I think, try and get to holodeck by the end of the year. Which is the idea of Star Trek, of like being able to put yourself in this environment that it does not exist.
So now
that's just like
not to interrupt, but to totally interrupt. So my time at Entertainment Tonight, I interviewed Howie Mandel. Howie Mandel has this hologram machine that is profound, and what it does is you stand in a position and then the audience anywhere in the world sees you standing on that stage in 3 dimensions, and you can see the audience if you set it up correctly, right? So if there's cameras to show you the other side, it feels like you're standing in front of the audience, but you're not in front of the audience, and then they feel as if you're there reacting in real time with no lag. And that was mind-blowing. We actually did an interview where I was just talking to his avatar on broadcast cameras, but you didn't know until we kind of pulled out and showed that he wasn't standing next to me. He was off over here. I'm terrified at it, but I'm so intrigued by it because I go, is this the way the world communicates and keeps us all connected? Or at the same time, a buddy of mine called me yesterday and goes, hey man, I'm going to spend the $3,500 on the Apple glasses. And the reason being is because I tried somebody's on and I was standing on top of a mountain. And I go, but you can stand on top of a mountain. And so we're going into a virtual world to get out into our real world. And I said, buddy, if I can make one recommendation, don't use it for nature. Use it for productivity and all the fun and gaming and creativity that's there for it. But let's not lose sight of nature. Let's just not forget that we just suffered through COVID, where many people were vitamin D deficient. Many people need to get outside. You know, all these different things that were told to us. And now we're making it easier than ever through technology to just not take care of ourselves. So there's there's a balance, right? Somewhere, somehow.
There is, but it doesn't sound like your friend told you specifically what kind of mountain he was on.
Oh boy.
Because I have tried the Vision Pro on and I've done the demo.
Yeah.
Now, in the mountain that he's talking on, you're literally on the top of a cliff that only mountain serious intense rock climbers can get to. And not everybody as fit as I am.
Right.
He's a lot. He could actually get on this mountain. I actually have done some rock climbing. I would never do what you see.
Yeah.
But then take it to another level. You're also on a tightrope of somebody crossing between two mountains. And then there's also another thing where you're sitting in a recording studio when Alicia Keys is doing her performance. Now imagine you can imagine, Taylor Swift. I don't know how much she sold her Eras tour to Disney for.
Billions,
but it's a
probably.
lot of money.
Yes.
And imagine if Taylor Swift set up a camera for the Vision Pro in her recording studio. Right? And allowed people to be in the recording and you feel like you are in that recording studio. Imagine if she allowed people to feel like they are there while she's recording her next single. There is no world some people, but there's no world most people will ever be in that room.
Yes, and hold on. I'm trying to play devil's advocate and find the angle of why that's not a good idea, because I'm an actor and a director, and I need the post-production people and the sound people and everybody to keep their jobs. But so does that then affect the artist, I wonder, right? So every artist performs differently in front of a live crowd versus in their own world late at night, eating French fries, dipping them in cheese, smoking a joint, and making music, right? And so then does that change art? Now, there's already the argument that AI is going to change art forever. I mean, it already kind of has, right? People are selling art that's AI created as their own and this and that, but does AI somehow, some way change the artist that way,
There's a lot of things you just touched on.
Yeah. I have so many damn questions.
Well, no, but they're let's go on each one.
Yeah, let's go.
There's so much you just touched on.
Yeah.
The first thing that I would say is people want to see the true artist.
Yes.
And if you just put a camera in the room with a true artist,
right,
that allows the fan to believe that they're there. Number one, that's all they want. They want to be in the room with a real person, right? And if they don't want to be in the room with that person, they'll go be in a room with another person, right? Number one, and to have that feeling is getting artists closer to their fans. Number one. Number two, if you are, you said something in the first kind of introduction of me that I disagree with.
What's that?
You said the fear of AI taking artists' jobs.
Yes.
While there is some truth to that, there's also truth to the AI is not as much going to take the jobs of the artist as much as the person using the AI tools might.
Sure.
Because again, and then to talk about what artists are used to, that's one thing, but how long has filmmaking and television and art, this type of art, been around, right? Yeah. Are we 100 years?
Yeah.
A little more, but 500 years ago, they weren't making movies.
Right.
And then you add sound, then you add color, then you add television, then you add the fact that we can stream, the fact internet, all of these things have happened, right? The printing press created a renaissance.
Yeah.
All of these things, tools create more opportunities.
Sure.
Right? And then AI tools allow one person to do 10 times the amount of content potentially.
Right.
Now, do you think if one person can do 10 times what they're doing today, there will be less jobs? Or do you think there's going to be more to cover and they might just be doing different jobs?
Okay, so yeah, I see that idea, right? That more creates more. But in the same aspect of one person being able to do the jobs of 10 people, that devalues the worth of those 10 people, and the one person can now just click a button or use an app to do the jobs of those 10 people. So does it lessen the quality of content that's going to be available as far as movies and TV shows and things like that? Does every corporation go, oh, we're a corporation, we have to grow, so we're going to fire 100 people and keep these 10 button pushers on as, the best AI operatives we have? Like what I'm saying is that if one guy can do 10 guys' jobs, then how is he worth 10 guys, or is the AI worth 10 guys?
I think it's a bigger conversation.
Yeah.
Right?
And I don't know the answers. I'm literally real time questioning you like it's an interrogation. I just need to know stuff.
But like the and my thing is to be able to provide different perspectives.
Yes.
Right? Now imagine, so I've worked in a lot of different places in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
And in those places, I'm not going to name those places.
Sure.
But there are a lot of people who are spreading their tasks out over a day or a week or a month.
Agreed.
Right? When the person who gives that task would like it done right away.
Yes.
And if you spread a task that you could do over an hour into a week and then do that with a number of tasks, and you're talking about pushing buttons, and you're just pushing those papers, and then you're going over to your friend's desk and you're talking to them, and then you're taking an hour and a half or 2-hour lunch. Yeah. Like those things. And it's good. Again, I know it's about the quality of life, right?
Yeah.
But when it is a business or a brand that is saying, I'm going to pay you to do this task or to be my person or to do that thing, then it's like they expect that thing to be done.
Sure.
Right? And I don't think it makes them one person better than 10 others. It's about, being more efficient and productive. But then what I think I found in the past, especially with some art as well, and I don't want, not everybody falls into this. There's some great art out there. Obviously, we've all seen it. But there's also some mediocre stuff.
Yeah, of course.
I don't think everybody, you could look at your letterbox, you could look at reviews, you could look at your television shows, and for a long time, people have been giving these lots and lots of money and to do mediocre work, right? And I think a lot of that comes in the fact that some real artists don't ever get to even show what they can do because the gatekeepers allowing them to make the art or granting them, you are allowed because we grant you the fact that we think you're special, so we're going to spend money on you. Now a kid in his basement can do the same type of work and put it on YouTube.
Right.
Look at, this is not a good example. Maybe this is a great example. Look at Mr. Beast.
Yeah.
Mr. Beast is probably one of the biggest YouTubers there is.
Right.
He went viral for counting to 100,000 on camera. That is why Mr. Beast went viral.
Wow.
And then he came up and he made his money in crypto, but then he invests it back, everything, back into his channel. Mr. Beast just got a $100 million deal with Amazon to give away the biggest prize of $5 million, and he's got complete control over that show. Yeah. And here's a guy who just played video games on camera, and some might think YouTubers aren't, the same level. I know there are a lot of people.
I don't. I am fully on board. I am like the Paul brothers' older wannabe brother at this point. This is what it is. When I watch Logan and Paul and their promotions companies and how they've gained over their career, I knew these guys when they were getting paid to hold a red Solo cup.
And now they're fighting Mike Tyson.
On Instagram. Yeah, exactly. And that's beautiful. So you said something I really, really like, actually, and as an independent filmmaker, as a guy that's been trying to be a director and an actor and produce my own projects, the constant problem is not my capabilities as a director, as an actor, as a producer. I know what they know. I can do what they do. I've been in the rooms with all of them. The problem is the guy that's holding the key has to say yes, or the girl that's holding the key, and that one person controls so much. So what you said about the ability for people to create projects and content and put it out on YouTube in a quality that is equivalent, if not better, than some of the BS that's made and financed for millions of dollars because of the key turner, the key holder says, yes, this is the day I say yes to this project or to that project. That's a beautiful thing, and I think that creates more. I think there's an ability to create more ability for artists, and so like this is the most optimistic moment I feel in the world of AI currently right now, is you kind of shedding that perspective on me and going, hey man, we don't need, and I have a perfect example. You know the blue cardigan guy on Instagram? His name's Adam Rose. He basically has a blue cardigan and he reacts funny and makes, you know, some funny things about his wife and whatever. He made a trailer for a film based on, loosely based on, I don't want to give it away because I don't know how public it is, but loosely based on his character. And just based off the trailer, which, and he didn't really use, I don't think, much AI on it, but it was a basic 2-minute trailer, really good, hit all the points, sold the story, had a great twist at the end. Then in turn was able to sell that and now is getting paid to write the movie. So that's kind of cool.
Well, so on that topic, I've talked about this to a number of people. Imagine we're 2 years in the future, right? And it could be 3 months in the future, actually. But like
the way stuff is changing.
Well, no, it's like you can do this currently. But what I'm talking about is getting to the financier level, right? If I'm a film financier, today it might not be this way, but definitely in a year from now. If I'm a film financier and I was presented 2 scripts, and they're presented a lot more scripts. But if I was presented a number of scripts,
right,
and some of the scripts just came in, and their managers and their agents said, "Hey, you've got to make this movie. This is a great director. Here's a couple short films they made, not
right,
shorts about the script that they're gonna make."
Right.
But if I'm, and then I get a couple scripts that include a 2-minute, really highly produced trailer
right,
of the script that they want to make, showing me their vision, their voice, and their choices. If I'm presented a script and a script with that trailer, or a book rights, or a life rights, or book rights with a trailer of the thing, of the vision, who am I going to give my $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, $10 million to? And the problem is there are a lot, and again, I don't want to get too this, because what I'm saying is gets a little tricky.
Yeah.
People think that their idea and their creative is the best.
Of course.
That doesn't necessarily mean it is.
Right.
And number 2, most creative people are not thinking about how the financier gets their money back.
Right.
They're thinking about the ability that this financier is going to give me a ton of money, and I'm just going to go have fun making a movie. And that is not this is a creative business. The creative is half of it, the business is half of it.
Yes.
So if you want to make your movie, figure out how you're going to make the guy or gal giving you the money to make your movie twice, 5 times, 10 times what they gave you.
Yeah.
They'll let you make your movie.
Yeah. And seeing is believing, right? So you
what
say,
am I going to make?
Right. You say, send me 2 projects. Wow, this script's good, and has a trailer that looks awesome. So now I'm going to fall asleep tonight thinking about what this movie is. Both the guy that created the trailer, possibly using AI, and the executive holding the key to me being able to make a movie. I think that's spectacular, and I think that is a very useful tool. And here I am, let me be the first director out here to say it. Like, I've pitched a lot of movies. One in particular was called Mama Bear. I shot a 13-minute, 10-minute with credits short film, and it cost me $50,000. And my wife broke 2 ribs in it, and my best friend Adam Fergus split his face open in the action sequence. Now, given I'm the director that goes, hey, what you guys just did there was worth that, but that wasn't the feature film, and the feature film hasn't been made still for this project. You know what I'm saying? And so they gave their guts and their glory like any good artist will on the set of a production they believe in, but to make something so I could look sexy pitching in a meeting, and so I'm looking at AI from this another, optimistic perspective going, oh, wow. So I could have saved my wife's 2 broken ribs. I could have saved a gash to my guy's forehead. I could have saved probably $45,000 because if I dumped $5,000 into some AI helpful programming, but I employed probably 30 people on a short film shoot essentially. And so then you go, all right, what happens to those 30 people? They have to learn some sort of AI to incorporate. I mean, you can't. There's lighting techs and grip guys that you can't replace. It's manual labor. They got to pick stuff up and put it down and set stuff up and take it down and things like that.
Who was the financier on that movie?
The fans, the people. I raised it publicly. I raised the money publicly.
What did they get from it?
Different swag, autographed swag, and comics, and
cool.
various different things. There was a like a reward system level
awesome.
for us crowdfunding the money, but it was difficult. It was really hard, and it was like I crowdfunded that money over months of time.
So I'm not saying don't see. There's a couple different frames of thought. There's the AI filmmaking frame of thought, which I think it's cool. I think you can make some cool stuff and you can get some ideas across and you can see if people are interested.
Sure.
I'm more of the traditional way of doing things with the addition of better tools thought.
And I like that explanation of it a lot.
And what I mean by that too is kind of like, I'm not saying don't shoot your movie.
Right.
But imagine if you were able to go to an LED wall, use a program like Kubrick. I'm going to start naming things.
Okay.
Kubrick. You can basically with that program, you can make images to put on LED walls, and they separate the foreground, the midground, and the background. Right. I could show you something that they shot. It's pretty incredible. My friend shot something for them recently.
I have a project right now that's completely a feature film based inside a limo from the perspective of the limo to be shot on a full LED wall.
You use something like Kubrick, you basically put some stuff in front of you put setting in front of the camera, right? You're able to start basically showing your crew, right, your vision by being able to create imagery and be able to specifically say what you want. How many times have you told a crew member, whether it's a wardrobe, whether it's a set designer, whether it's a painter, something that you want and they don't get it right because you never show them what you're looking for? Right. Use that, right? Another idea is imagine you can create your own personal LLM as a director and you set all of the rules of that LLM, right? So instead of 100 people asking you what to do next, they ask the LLM, and if that LLM gives them certain answers that are based on the rules of engagement on your phone.
Sure.
But there are so many tools that you can use, from brainstorming to editing to even just, for instance, inspiration. There's a program called Kive where you can literally just say, I want a teacup, or I want a staircase, and then you can literally just have 100 things presented to you for you to look at. It just gets what I say is these AI tools don't necessarily take away creativity. They get you to the creativity faster.
Interesting. Because
then you're focused on the creative. You're not focused on your scheduling board or your budget or your Excel sheet or where am I going to store these pictures. Right. You're there are the pictures.
Yeah.
There's the edit. Let's create.
Yeah. No, I mean, I see the benefit of it. I can't help but think as we're having the conversation, all the actors in my life and editors and post-production people that are holy crap, months ago, before AI was as commercial and mainstream as it is this current moment, which it's everywhere, and it's been everywhere for now a little while. But I sat with a sound tech, and he goes, watch this. And I think he had a plug-in on something and basically did all the Foley sound of an hour-and-a-half movie in 10 minutes automatically. And he goes, I don't even know what I'm here for. And I go, to press enter, I guess, And so then you go, there's these Foley artists out there that what they do is wildly incredible. It's amazing to see them, walking and doing the thing. So if that were to go away, let's just pick just this one job, for instance, just see if we can find a solution between the two of us. So if that goes away, and it's as easy as AI has learned from all the previous pieces of content that have ever been created on the internet or whatever it has access to understand this is what footsteps sound like in the snow, the sand, the rock, the whatever, the wood. And then it can just do that. And those Foley artists who win, I guess, Oscars and awards for their different positions and their given techniques they use on these different movies, then what do they do? What can they do? Because they can't get better at what they're doing because what they've done has already taught AI to be better at them and faster than them. And I think that is kind of the type of thing that scares people. It's like, so we can learn and then AI can be taught, but is AI being taught? Like there were some interesting interviews that came out this week of, I don't know if it was ChatGPT or OpenAI or somebody. They were interviewing this woman and they, asked her if the AI was taught from YouTube or this and that. And she got real squirrely on the answer, right? And I understand that these people are in a predicament, so...
She was talking about Sora.
Okay, so elaborate on that a little bit and try to help me understand, or for anybody that may or may not watch this, for people like a Foley technician that is what they do so incredible and all of a sudden can be wiped out like that. Like, there's many editing, software programs that almost make editors obsolete, especially for things like a podcast, a simple edit. Now, obviously, I don't see an AI able to edit Dune or edit a Guy Ritchie movie that's dependent very specifically on cuts and edits, right? Yeah. But can Guy Ritchie sit down and program an AI editor, like put in the proper prompts to make his AI editor a Guy Ritchie AI editor, therefore not needing an editor? You see, that's like, the big worry is people not thinking they can learn as fast or be needed in the same way. And I understand it's inevitable, right? It's not going anywhere. This is something I've accepted. But I want to help people better understand that there's hope and it's not just a pessimistic, this is the wind down of the end of all arts and entertainment,
I can't lie and say that that's not going to happen.
Right.
And it's unfortunate. But what happened... Yeah, it's a two-part kind of...
I probably asked you 70 questions.
So the first thing is yes, I've first of all seen 5 Foley programs that do that same thing.
Yeah.
Pika just became available today. Pika is a program. Pika.art is a program that you can take an image into and you can animate it. Right. They've recently had lip syncing, so you can actually give it a script and it'll create a voice for the picture to be able to say a script. And today, I think it was, they have allowed everybody to have access to their sound effects. Thing where you can actually create sound effects from text prompts. And if you assume that these programs are, Adobe's going to probably integrate it into Premiere at some point. Yeah. But what happened? What were these Foley artists doing before films?
It's a good question.
What were like my cousins had a transcription business.
Right.
Where everything that was handwritten, they had a transcribe.
Yeah.
That went away. I think the hard part is innovation is inevitable.
Right.
And if you think about it is a bigger picture, it's not just this is not just an American thing. This is a worldwide thing. Yeah. Right? So if you think of it as a worldwide thing, fixing it here in the States doesn't fix it in the world. So all of these programs, all of these methods, they're going to continue everywhere and people are going to use them. Regulation is going to become the thing. And I think going back into the regulation of what you were talking about is where is this stuff trained? Right. Just know if there is a problem, it will be fixed. right? Fixed is a broad term, but if there is a problem, there's a lot of people looking at how to fix it.
Right.
And so the training of data is a problem.
Right.
And you start having Getty Images partnering with people like Getty, and like Reddit partnered with Google. Now Reddit's probably facing problems. So Reddit has to fix their issues because they have their customers and they're going public. And you have like the images originally, Getty Images was being trained on Getty Images. New York Times had a big lawsuit. All of these places are handling lawsuits, but then what they're trying to figure out is okay, well then if I can get my people paid, then I could solve these lawsuits, right? So I think it's about, the big thing right now is like, how do you stop training without giving credit or getting these people paid?
I wonder if there's some future, and this is just me trying to just come up with anything I possibly can. I wonder if there is a world where, like a residual payment, there's some sort of residual royalty for AI learning from the actors that they're learning from or the talent that they're learning from, right? And so maybe this hasn't been developed, maybe it hasn't been thought of, maybe it has, maybe it's been shelved, but maybe, right?
Remember what we talked about, one of the first things I think I mentioned?
What was that?
Blockchain.
Oh, yeah, blockchain, a receipt, a digital or a safe place.
If people and their likeness, and again, I'm sure there are people working on this, but if there's an imprint of what people are using and art and train and whatever, the use of X gets paid because like, so basically the blockchain works as it's kind of like a computer program.
Okay.
Like if this happens, do this. If this doesn't, then it's like this big feedback loop, right?
Right.
So like if this piece of art is used to do Y, then pay X, right?
Sure.
So it's kind of like, escrow, like the whole real estate world is in craziness recently because the whole board of the real estate business or a union or whatever it is has basically come into play of like the 6% equity or 6%, you know what I'm talking about,
yes,
right? Recently.
Yes.
So, real estate is going to be hit big by AI also.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be able to literally walk through, like getting into nerfs and Gaussian splatting and all of this stuff. You're going to be able to literally, like, not even go to a place, put on your Vision Pro, walk through the place that you want to buy. There's going to be an avatar there to answer any of your questions. You're going to be able to dive in, open little things, and all you're going to literally be able to do everything like you're there.
Right.
It's changing.
Yeah.
And like get into, I mean, we're talking right now while NVIDIA's developer conference is going on right now. I know we're talking about entertainment, but when if anybody watched Jensen Huang's keynote, the CEO of NVIDIA, like they've created a digital double of Earth to track climate problems. They've tracked like we're it's much bigger than the entertainment business.
Yeah, no, I get it. I keep going. Like, tell me more. I mean, I want to get to the part of this conversation where I go, hey Ben, tell me the most optimistic way for actors, directors, and artists to look at AI, but I'm also wildly intrigued by the fact that it could save the planet and save human lives by predicting things we never could have thought we could have ever predicted via AI modeling and so on and so forth, right? I mean, that's wild to think about.
Another two-parter, right?
Yeah. We're going to have to do a whole series based on this. I have to come on your channel. We have to do a lot of these. Seriously, this is going to help people.
This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
I want to be asked the questions and be able to provide a perspective. And sometimes it'll be positive, sometimes it won't.
And that's okay because that's life. And life is sometimes positive and sometimes negative. But what's important is that it's two people sitting down trying to find the truth in how do we go forward. Because we have to move forward. We can't just die today and that's it. We're going to sleep. It's over. Like, we have to move forward. This education you're giving us is arguably one of the most important conversations that I've had this year. You know, I mean, it really is.
Well, can I ask you a question?
Please, anything. Flip the tables all you want.
How do you think positive, ethical, creative minds in entertainment are going to change the narrative in AI if they aren't getting involved in the conversation?
Yeah, they're not. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people trying to capitalize on AI within the arts and entertainment industry rather than, like you just described, be a upright citizen and try to ethically do something, right? There's people jumping at the idea of, oh, I don't have to pay the writer this, I don't have to pay the team this, I don't have to pay that person this, instead of going, okay, what is the ethical solution to move forward when we know this thing is here and it's not going anywhere? So that is a major question. And I think this is where you're going to shed a lot of light and you're going to shine. And I think we're going to try to get your voice heard by as many people as possible through this, because you're a guy that understands both sides. You understand the AI side very well, and you have a creative side in you, and you've worked on that front too. So ethically, you don't want to see artists that you've worked with before homeless and not able to work, right?
You can't do it from the sidelines, though.
Yeah.
So, and you can't do it if you fear and push it away. You're not going to solve any problems.
Right? That ignorance is bliss thing only works till it becomes not blissful and you just become an ignorant asshole, like at the end, at some point.
And then if you think about it, again, go back to the strikes, right?
Right.
One of the main reasons from all of these strikes is, and this is from a place of fear, and I totally understand.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times, and this is not all the times, but the creative people are focused on the creativity, and the studios are focused on the business, right? And ultimately, the business pays for the creative. So a lot of the creative people feel that the studios hold the keys to allowing them to be creative.
Right.
Now flip the script and flip the script, right? But flip the perspective for a second. And while they came to the table to try and come to a conclusion on how to not take these rights away and how to give us the ability to do X, Y, or Z. If you say, I'm a creative person who can now do what a studio can without the studio, right? It's not just the studio who can do creative without the creative, but a creative person can come to the table with much more than they ever could before.
Yeah.
Right? From, a lot of the times you would need the studio or the production company to make X, Y, or Z before, so you lose every time if you come with an idea, you get the least amount, right?
Right.
If you come with a script, you get a little bit more in the project. If you come with a look and a feel, the more you come to the table with, the more the creative person gets, right?
Yeah.
And that's why, look, if you sell a spec script or if you sell a spec movie, you made the movie, it's like you have the power. If it's really good, you're going to get top dollar. You're going to get a bidding war for it. Right? So if you come with a concept and if they're not going to do it, now we're in a place where we can do self-distribution, right? So it's kind of like, if this is as good, the problem is people sometimes think that their thing is better than it actually is.
Of course.
And they think that somebody should pay them more for it.
Of course.
Then they should probably pay them. And then if you look at the Netflix model, you have a lot of auteurs who get a lot of money from Netflix to go wild.
Yeah.
Producers are needed for those directors.
Right.
Right? Those movies aren't as good as they could be with the proper producers.
Sure.
And so why I originally came to do what I did to bring technology together with creativity is because, look, for the longest times, look at Star Trek, look at H.G. Wells, all of these visionaries come up with all of these incredible ideas that they can't realize.
Right.
And technicians get inspired. Steve Jobs creates all this stuff. Now we have goggles and watches and we're Dick Tracy and we're all these things. But technicians sometimes aren't the visionaries. They need to be inspired by someone. Mm-hmm. Now, tech people had a big revelation. They've created this past 2 weeks, there was this thing called Devon that came out that can basically completely software engineer a program with AI. So now both sides are seeing their thing get taken. However, you still need creative people. You still need the drivers on the tech side Now, if tech people and creative people came together in the way that they really need to make a better product, it's going to be better than they would make in a silo.
You're right. You're right. I mean, it is. I mean, there's no way around that. And I think it is, a lot of what you're saying is a reimagining of all that we are and all that we do and the way that we do it and the way that it's been done for a long time. And I think that just as the dinosaurs went extinct, I think a dinosaur way of thinking that it's going to be the same forever, and this is just how the arts and entertainment industry is going to work and the tech industry is going to work, because it's worked that way, is a bad way of thinking. I agree with you on that. And I'm one of these people that I think this is the most exciting time to be alive. And in the same, exactly where I'm holding my hand, it's also the most terrifying time to be alive, because there's so much uncertainty and there's so much up in the air. And it's like, oh, wow, what we learned in grade school from 1 to 12 now should really incorporate an AI lesson plan. Like there should be no kid not being taught something about AI in school right at this point, because it's inevitably going to be part of their life. Like, how could it not?
It should be. Our education system here
is ancient.
There are a lot of problems depending on where archaic. You live. Now, imagine if you could be learning about the Egyptian pyramids, standing next to the pyramids.
Oh, man.
Imagine if Cleopatra could be teaching your class. Imagine if you could be engrossed in this world. Imagine if you're learning songwriting and in a different way. Imagine, I could literally find a use case for every single thing there is. Yeah. Now, but that's, the hard part is, have you read Outliers?
Yeah. Yeah.
Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell is one of...
I was talking about it last night with somebody, so it's so funny you brought it up right now.
I mean, it's one of the best. I mean, everybody should read it.
Right.
And the reason is you are not just here to be given all of the things. I guess it all depends on where you are and where you fall when certain things happen in the world. Yeah. And that's what Outliers is all about, right? It's when were you born? What was going on in the world at the time you were born? Who were you born to? What are your parents like? Look, Bill Gates and Steve Jobs came up at around the same time. Funny, huh?
Yeah, interesting.
Hockey players are usually born between January and March because of it goes so deep into these granular things.
Yeah.
And you can't compare yourself, even talking about the type of parent who talks to their kid in a certain way versus somebody who doesn't, and about a parent who tells, one of the chapters is about parents who allow their kids to talk to the dentist, right? Mm-hmm. And then parents who are keep your mouth shut and just listen to what they have to say. These are two different types of people. And even in the book, it goes into where you are in your life. Look, if there's a new technological innovation or whatnot, and you are 20 and 22, 25, you're in a really interesting place, because now you can devote all of your time to learning this thing, doing this thing, taking advantage of this thing. If you're 40, you might have to think about what you do with this information, because now you're in an industry that if it turns on its head, you still have to pay your mortgage, your car, your schools, your kids.
Sure, yes.
If you're 60, you don't care, because you're you're already deeply ingrained. It's it's not going to change your world, right? So it's kind of how do you use what you have, understand where it's going to go, and then be a part of the area that you've chosen, but don't have regrets.
Yeah, I mean, yes.
It's a lot.
No, it is, and it's sensible. It's the way that you're saying it is very sensible, and I know people are going to watch this, and I know some of my friends are going to watch this, and they're going to be like, no, Matt, no. And I'm going to be like, but you have to. You literally have to give AI the time of day at this point. And this is coming from a guy who's made the last 20 years of my life as an actor, and the last 5 or 8 years as a director. I thought that what I did was the only way to do it, but sitting here and having these conversations with you is making me realize that my way of thinking that I thought there was the only way to do it has actually stopped me from progressing and potentially getting films made quicker, faster, and better, not utilizing the talented people in front and behind the camera, but simply using it as a slight crutch to get the projects going or some more momentum, or to, there's just so many little steps you can use in the creativity process, like you said, that doesn't alienate or expel anybody from a job, but it's got to be incorporated. It has to be.
The next question I have for you, you could probably take a couple hours to give me an answer, but I want it really on the top level. You said the thing I do was the only way that I can do it.
Right.
What do you believe the thing that you do is?
I think the way that I, as a director, break down a script, or as an actor, I break down a script. The way I see with it, I envision it. I go through the arcs of these characters. Does it make sense that this character does this? Does the next line pull me to the next line? Does the next moment draw me to the next moment? Do I need these moments? Do I need these actions? And I think even when you sit there and you go, oh man, that moment doesn't work. Now I'm sitting here going, if I had an AI assistant, I can be like, this is this moment, but what if I added this type of music and changed the setting to this? Does that same scene work? And I think AI could, kick out some imagery or some photographs or something created in that world. Like you mentioned earlier, a staircase, right? Like an art designer wants to put a spiral staircase in a set. Well, it's very expensive to weld and build a spiral staircase. But if you go to the director and you go, here's 10 spiral staircases of different materials and different, shapes and different whatever, various different artistic touches, that your head of your art design team sat and typed in a prompt or whatever, I can see the benefit of that.
This isn't fair because you're answering you're supposed to take the position of all of the friends that you just mentioned who are going to say no.
I don't have any friends after this podcast. It's me and you now, Ben.
Well, what I was going to say is I was going to actually ask you before you answered all the questions. I was like, how do you come to these conclusions?
Well, because now you literally have me going, I can find a use within everything to add it to. And so you've literally you've shifted gears in my mind a little bit.
Because when you say, is this going to work? Make it and see. Don't wait to get to set to see. Literally create the image, create the music. It doesn't mean that you're not going to have your musicians playing the score. It doesn't mean you're not going to have an actor reading it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you're not going to have all of these things that you use to make movies. But do you know what the coolest part is? Do you know what AI is going to save the most?
What?
Reshoots.
That is awesome. And so, but how? But now hold on. So this brings up another big one. So how is it going to save reshoots other than taking the accidental mistake out of the potential, and hopefully you're better planned, better prepared, and you park the camera trucks so they don't get caught in the side of the frame and you had to reshoot that take.
You can fix that.
We can fix that, but how do we if it's going to fix a reshoot, is that because we're going to depend on it to just learn from the hour and a half what we did, and it's going to take the actor, place them in a new scene and fix the scene because this moment doesn't connect to that moment without this new AI moment in between?
Think differently. Most people don't have access to previs who are in independent films.
Sure.
If you're on a $200 million movie, you might have prevised a few things,
yeah.
but you still might not work.
And previs is a game changer.
Now the way
in the action world, for sure.
For sure, but the way you're going to make movies is going to change. So when people say fix it in post, they might still be right, except post is going to be part of the development process now.
Right.
So all those post-production executives, all those post-production artists, they're now going to be a part of the creative team figuring out how to make the movie before it's made versus fixing all the problems after a bunch of people don't do their jobs right. And I don't mean jobs right. I mean just like a film, whether it's 500,000, those people need this too. Like 1 million, 5 million, all of these people, right, who are making movies, there's so many things that are happening. And then once you start getting, besides the fact that there's a creative story and then there's an execution, there's a director. The producer has a different agenda. The other producer has a different agenda. The cinematographer has a different agenda. Everybody has a different agenda that they're trying to create this thing. And then they're all waiting for the right moment to put their agenda on. But because, look, if you shot it, you're stuck with it.
Sure.
Or if it okay, I'm listening to you in this meeting, but I'm not really listening to you. I'm going to just do whatever I'm going to do on set. And the producer, no. We're going to see, what is the feel? What is the look? If you can't show me, and then I haven't even gotten into the advertising process, right? An advertising campaign a while ago would take 6 months to go from the idea to the client to the creative to the execution to pitching a director to actually shooting, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
If I were creating a campaign for a client, I would walk into the conference room, we would talk, I would pull out my laptop, I'd probably be connected to the screen, right? Yeah. And then we would come up with images for what this feel is. I might even come up with music. I might come up with whatever it is. We would leave, and then they would have an idea of a look and a feel. A week later, I would probably give them a 30-second cut.
Yeah.
And then I would probably give it to them in 6 different languages. Right? And that's a week versus 6 months.
Right.
And now it's hard because then you're like, oh, but all those people's jobs in that 6 months are gone. But it's like, do you think we should continue doing this way and spending millions of dollars on all of these things? Or do we find other ways to spend that money to make better creative, to be more creative, to get the creative? Or do we just do it how it's done just because we want to just spend this money? Right. And if you tell that to a brand who is actually the one spending the money, they're probably not going to be too happy with that.
Yeah. No, I mean, it really does make sense, and I hate that you make so much sense, but I also love that you make so much sense in the same in the same moment. And I do. I think it's obviously, and I've said this a million times in this podcast, but it is inevitable, and we will have to cohabitate and work together with AI. And I think it's very important ethically, move forward ethically, and so that the people doing these different jobs can be trained to use AI along with them as doing their jobs. And let's take millions of dollars out of the giant corporations' pockets, dare I say, and spread it out right? There's always somebody at the top making a significant amount of more money than everybody else below them. And so if everybody else below them could do 10 times what the guy that's getting paid 10 times the amount they make, there's no ethics there. So maybe AI will bring some ethics into that conversation.
And who knows, maybe if they're making the money and they're finding ways to do it cheaper, and then since we're taking all the money out of certain things, maybe there's ways to spread it out. Maybe there's ways to benefit from a better campaign that does better in public, that can trickle back into all of the people involved in that. And then, we are going to need to do a series because I haven't even gotten into the actual tools that can help people. We're
an hour in and we've barely touched on anything. And I literally have 3 more meetings that I have to do. So we have to come to a close on this. But we need an immediate follow-up, like whether it's here or I come to you, we need more of this. And I haven't even asked. I mean, did I even ask you a question, or are we just on
We've
one?
Just been talking.
We're just kind of like 2 dudes at a bar without a pint, just trying to figure out this conversation. This has been incredibly fulfilling just in my understanding from the opening point of this conversation and understanding NFTs as receipts and blockchains as what it is, to really shifting my mind to think about AI in a vastly different way. And I think this is important, folks. I hope we're going to do more of these, so I hope I don't alienate you right from this first episode and you hang in, because I want to elaborate. I want to sit down with Ben more, and we have a lot to talk about and a lot to educate you on. More him than me. I'm just the devil's advocate on his shoulder. But I think you have a great understanding of this, and I think that the people will benefit greatly from listening to you and then taking what he's teaching you and doing something with it, rather than sitting there and bitching or complaining or going, "Ah, man, it's over for me, this and blah, 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 blah." It's not. We just, like my brain shifted gears in this 1 hour together, we all need to shift gears somehow. My therapist says I shouldn't tell you should and you need and all these things, but in my opinion, in my most humble Matt Cohen, non-scientific bro explanation opinion, we have to give this a chance, and we have to educate ourselves as much as possible, because it's going to make us better artists, potentially. It's going to make us more ethical humans as we travel down this thought process of ethics and what ethics really are in the job place. And it's going to make us more productive, which hopefully, like you said earlier, by making us more productive and producing more films and more TV, and there's more platforms and there's more opportunities for employment out there, right?
And I mean, what I'd love to do too is even, I think the best way to show is to do.
Let's do it.
And like even being able to incorporate some of these things into your workflow.
Yeah.
Right? And finding ways to say, like, on the back end, on the front end, what you see, what you integrate, you know.
I think that's super important. And that is literally going to give the viewers a perspective real time. They know what the first 35 episodes have looked like. It's been very, Wayne's World. We're in a basement. You're a fly on the wall in my office/cubicle area. And some people like that. But also, if I can give them some more production value, I'm a guy that is doing everything by myself as you are, right? I'm writing, I'm directing, I'm lighting, I'm doing sound, I'm hanging wires, I'm trying to figure it out, I'm inviting, I'm producing. Like literally, there's nobody that helps me except occasionally my son, and that's only if we're going to do a podcast about Legos, you know? So if AI allows me to bring more conversations to the people in a more educated way, in a more visionary way, in a more dynamic way, then great. Let's do it.
And your films too.
And my films, which I'm very excited to, you and I have so much to talk about. Oh my gosh. Listen, I don't want to waste any more time today because I have 17 other things to do. But this is Ben Silverman, and I'm Matt Cohen, and we're going to talk a lot more about this. And I truly, 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 I hope that it helps you guys. I know Ben knows what he's talking about. I don't just want to have wasteful conversations to create hours of content on YouTube. I want to do something that matters. I want to have conversations with people that I'm interested in talking to, and you're that guy, and you're showing up with the best of ethics and hopes to shed some light and educate on AI, and I think it's very important. Before we say goodbye, where can we find you? So they know, I clicked on your YouTube page. You have this fantastic toolbox of AI things that I'm just going to begin to work through and learn about. But tell the people where they can find you, and you'll look forward to more episodes, whether it's on MC on the Mic or it's on his page, but he's going to tell you where to find it.
Well, I've got my own YouTube channel. It's YouTube, and it's Ben Mark Silverman, BenMarc Silverman at that's the that's the YouTube handle. And then I've got a newsletter, which is newsletter.seated, spelled SEATD.io.
Oh, nice.
So that goes out every Tuesday morning. I also have created a, like you said, which you could find on my YouTube as well. I put all my links in the descriptions. You can find my toolbox. I've created an AI toolbox, which goes through all of the tools, the news that comes out on a daily basis. I put workflows in. I just put one out yesterday that I've created an entire AI content creation workflow and pipeline where you can understand how to go from inspiration to marketing and delivery, and that one's going to continue to be updated. So as the new tools come out, my goal is to be able to make educational videos to show you how to use them, but also how they fit into an actual process that you can use.
It's very important.
So I'm constantly trying, like, education for the creatives is my biggest thing. Yeah. And so that's really what I'm trying to do.
Well, we're going to do some more of it. We'll see you soon, folks. This has been MC on the mic, and God knows what happens next, but it will be happening here or somewhere close by. We'll see you soon, people. Later on. That's fantastic.